Hey, this is Neil's on Dynasty. Please like, share, and subscribe. Be kind, helpful, and grateful. And buy some silver, some platinum, and definitely get yourself some crystallized osmium. That's the best advice you'll get this year. It's not financial. It's just the best advice you'll get. So, anyhow, that's not what this is about. They're about me putting my glasses back on because they folded up on me when I didn't want them to. And it's more, well, you can imagine. It's about the Sahel region of Africa. Africa? Africa? It's the Sahel region of Africa. We're talking about Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. Here we go.
Following a recent insurgent attack. However, ECOWAS may not be providing its own resources, but rather outsourcing aid. Could ECOWAS be acting as a proxy for another entity? When the attack occurred, many analysts suggested it was a move to weaken Burkina Faso, forcing it to turn to Western powers for help. However, Burkina Faso did not follow that path, and now ECOWAS has stepped in to offer support. This raises the question, is this a sincere offer, or part of a broader strategy guided by external forces? Is this assistance linked to other influences? Let's explore this further. Once again, ECOWAS, the Economic Community of West African States, finds itself in the middle of a geopolitical crisis. The organization recently condemned a violent attack in Burkina Faso, expressing solidarity with the victims and committing to mobilize a counterinsurgency force. On the surface, this appears to be a clear demonstration of regional unity against a common threat. However, as is often the case in geopolitics, there may be more going on than meets the eye. The tensions between ECOWAS and countries like Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger have been simmering, particularly following a coup that took place in July 2023. Some observers say it was only a matter of time before these nations distanced themselves from ECOWAS. In fact, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger have already formed their own alliance, creating what some call a mini-bloc in late 2022. This was a direct response to ongoing friction with ECOWAS, especially in Niger, which has struggled to transition to a democratic process in coordination with ECOWAS. ECOWAS has frequently suggested solutions that align with Western interests, and this instance appears no different. They have also threatened military action if Niger's ousted president, Mohamed Bazoum, is not reinstated following an emergency meeting among West African leaders about the coup. The ECOWAS statement condemning the attack in Burkina Faso has circulated widely, with phrases like barbaric attacks and solidarity with Burkina Faso grabbing the headlines. ECOWAS also emphasized its dedication to a regional counterinsurgency plan, calling for more cooperation between its member states. While this statement projects an image of unity and determination, closer scrutiny reveals more complex dynamics at play. Dynamics that involve Western influence, strategic interests, and the ongoing battle for African sovereignty. To fully understand the weight of ECOWAS statements, it's important to analyze the language used and the intent behind it. When ECOWAS denounces insurgency in Burkina Faso, what deeper messages might be embedded in its words? What critical elements are being left unsaid? The language of solidarity is significant here. On the surface, it signals a commitment to stand with Burkina Faso in its fight against insurgents. However, in diplomatic terms, solidarity often serves as a signal to external powers that the region is attempting to manage its own affairs. It's a statement not just of support, but of a desire for acknowledgement from the international community, especially Western nations. Yet this solidarity is often shaped by external pressure and expectations, particularly from Western powers that have long influenced African geopolitics. The emphasis on activating a counterinsurgent force is another point of interest. Why is ECOWAS pushing this agenda now, and whose interests does this serve? The call for a military response closely aligns with Western approaches to dealing with insurgents, hinting at a deeper alignment with Western military strategies, which often prioritize force over diplomatic or socioeconomic solutions. ECOWAS' focus on intelligence sharing and border security could be seen as laying the groundwork for further militarization, a narrative that aligns with the West's vested interest in maintaining military influence in Africa. This militarized response echoes Western strategies that have historically dominated Africa's security landscape. Western nations have long positioned themselves as essential allies in Africa's fight against insurgency, offering military training, arms, and intelligence support. However, the effectiveness of these strategies is increasingly being questioned. For example, in Libya, Western intervention aimed at removing a dictator created a power vacuum that led to further instability. In Mali, despite significant Western military aid, insurgencies continue to grow. Even in Nigeria, where Western military support has been substantial, efforts to combat Boko Haram have seen limited success. The problem with these Western approaches is their heavy reliance on military action without addressing the socioeconomic issues at the root of extremism. Poverty, unemployment, and lack of education are significant.
Uh, ah, see, that right there, they're lying to you. They know exactly what it takes to convert people. The NSA, I believe in the 80s or the 90s, did a study in the North African part of Africa and determined that at that time, if they earned $1,200 a year or less, they were more likely to become extremists than if they earned 1,800 a year, 2,200 a year. Again, this is the late 80s or early 90s. I'm not sure exactly when I saw that report, but they know exactly. And these governments, they all know. That's why foreign governments have been controlling these countries, because you can control the amount of money that people make. And if you know how much money they make, and it determines if they radicalize or not, you can actually radicalize the whole society by economic means. That's why economies are actually weapons used against people. It's literal. Economies are weapons. That's why I like what Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali are doing. But anyhow, that's another story. Let's get back to this one.
Significant drivers of radicalization in Africa. Extremist groups often take advantage of these frustrations, offering not only money but also a sense of purpose. By focusing primarily on military solutions, Western strategies risk exacerbating the underlying problems. The ongoing involvement of Western nations in Africa's security is often driven by self interest. Military aid and arms sales represent big business, and Africa offers a lucrative market. Additionally, maintaining a military presence in Africa provides strategic access to valuable resources such as oil, minerals, and metals. This suggests that the goal is not necessarily to help Africa, but to ensure Western nations maintain control over these resources. Given these dynamics, it's essential to question whether the strategies being promoted by ECOWAS, and by extension the West, are truly in Africa's best interests. Or are they designed to serve other, less visible agendas? A
That
truly
one.
African centric counterinsurgency approach would require a significant shift away from militarized solutions and toward addressing the root causes of extremism. This would involve community engagement, local knowledge, and the
They need to hire me. I know exactly what it'll take. It'll take them earning more money and giving money to their people. Imbre Fiore, the president of Burkina Faso, is doing the exact thing: building tomato plant, building refinery, consolidating all the mines, getting all their ducks in a row, and then giving to the people rather than having people steal all those ducks. He's doing exactly what you need to do to get rid of extremism in this country, in the Sahel region. Uh, I mean, that's why I believe Russia is backing all of this. Also, there was like 5 assassination attempts on his life. Inwar, the lead, Abraham Torre. There was like 5 or 7 attempts on his life. All of them stopped. The infrastructure that Burkina Faso has with the intelligence communities that they have isn't good enough to stop spies from larger countries that are better at doing that kind of thing. So he's got to be getting support from somewhere. So even though Russia is also getting their hands slapped by these guys, I believe Putin is actually helping and supporting him because he likes what he's doing for the country. What Russia's other intents are, not 100% sure yet, but future video coming in. Let's get back to the rest of the story.
use of traditional conflict resolution methods. Investing in education, healthcare, and infrastructure would help address the socioeconomic factors driving radicalization. Additionally, Africa needs to develop its own intelligence networks and security frameworks,
Bingo.
reducing its reliance on Western oversight. Africa's future security depends on creating strong, self reliant institutions that can address the continent's unique challenges. While partnerships with Western powers may be beneficial, they must be pursued on terms that prioritize Africa's needs and interests. Thank you for joining us on Africa Info Hub. Stay tuned for more
You're
in-depth
welcome,
analyses
dude.
and updates.
You're welcome, dude. No problem. We'll join you every time you got some good info. Anyhow, that's that. So, again, I say West Africa is a very, 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 very good place to do a lot of research before you invest, because I'm not a financial investor, but I would suggest looking at West Africa for financial investments, because if they are turning their countries around, I've already done reports on Nigeria is building colleges to specifically for tech, writing code, that kind of stuff, computer tech stuff. Burkina Faso has already said they're going to be building colleges to teach engineering. So these countries are already taking over all the roles they need to take over, and to be an industrial revolution of those countries sounds kind of primitive saying it, but they're going to have an industrial revolution. Join in, make the money. You guys have a great night. Be kind, helpful, and grateful.